Great celebrations there as the Brazilian side are through, beating Inter by 2-0. For more on this, Mario Melchiot joins us. We'll hear from Mario in a moment. Hey, how did Fluminense do this?
Well, I think let's start by giving Fluminense some credit in terms of what they did. The game plan was very clear to see. We're going to put numbers behind the ball. We're going to be organized. There's going to be a whole lot of work. We're going to sacrifice for each other. We're going to cover each other. All those things need to happen. And then when we get a chance to go forward, whatever those chances are, let's be opportunistic, let's be efficient, let's be effective. And Fluminense were that and more. If you look prior to those Lautaro Martinez chances late in the second half, the best chances in this game, even though Inter had most of the ball, fell to Fluminense. They were so good in understanding the moments in which they could go forward. There weren't many moments, but when they did, they posed a threat, and in fact, should have been up 2-0 at halftime, were not. And really, there was another goal that was called back because Ignacio was offside, the back post, barely offside. And you're thinking about, hold on a second, Inter has all of the ball, has all of the possession. How come Fluminense are far more goal dangerous? Well, I'll tell you why. Because Inter, I think they still haven't turned the page from the Champions League final.
Right.
I don't know if it's the early kickoff. I don't know if it was the heat. I don't know if it was the half-empty or more than half-empty stadium that didn't create the atmosphere that Inter was looking for. I don't know. I don't know if any of those things. But I can tell you this team was slow in possession, lethargic, careless with their possession. It felt as if they were walking around. There was no change of pace. It was very slow. The game had no speed whatsoever, which then allowed Fluminense to do the things that I just mentioned. Inter provided nothing to this game. And I would go as far as to say they were disinterested for long periods of time. And that, I think, is the scary part. You have a new manager in place. You have a bunch of players that have been very successful with this club. You come from having been humiliated in the Champions League final. You're thinking that maybe this is something that would generate some interest for this team in this competition. It's a knockout stage, and they had nothing. No juice, no life whatsoever, no soul in this performance from Inter.
So, Mario, did Inter just not care?
No, they did care, but I think, like what Ali also said, the things that he highlighted, Brazilians are very good, you understand? Like, even if we talk about the heat, right? They know how to play. They know how to really calculate you really well. They set back, allowed Inter on the ball, but what they did smart, they let the Vrij have the ball. He was too scared to dribble in because he was worried if I dribble in, I might get exposed because then I leave a big hole right in the middle of my defense. So sometimes he would dribble in and he couldn't release the ball. It was like they had a lot of possession, but they were just waiting for them. And the moment when they see the opportunity, they went through it. But the biggest things that, the little mistakes they had was between Damian and Dumfries. I know the ball got deflected in the first goal, but there were a couple more moments. Even with the offside goal that Ali highlighted, the offside goal that they got given offside, was again a hiccup between them two. So the thing was like, at the back of Inter was not well. So then going forward, the first half, no danger at all. The second half, yes, we saw the opportunity of Martinez that he hit the post and stuff like that. But in the first half, they were not dangerous enough.
Let's take a look, shall we, at what that means to the bracket. It's all starting to take place. Of course, Fluminense, the second Brazilian side to represent in the quarterfinals. Palmeiras will take on Chelsea. PSG will take on Bayern. Elsewhere, of course, we know it's Real Madrid against Juventus, Borussia Dortmund against Monterrey. And it's Fluminense taking on the winner of the Manchester City game tonight. You imagine City will win that. Ali, looking ahead to... I'm being presumptuous, I'm sorry. Looking at it, though, Ali, have Fluminense got what it takes to do something against City, or is Inter their kind of limit?
Yeah, I think to ask Fluminense to be better than Manchester City, assuming that Manchester City gets there, it's a little too much from Fluminense. I look at a team like Fluminense that, if you are objective in the way that they play, limited in what they can do in the attack. They depend on John Arias to create something for them from a shot from long distance, and they depend on maybe on Cano being somebody that can tap in a ball or type in a goal. But there isn't a whole lot of explosion from Fluminense. And why is that important? Because if you're going to get out on the counter against Manchester City, you need that speed. You need those players that can expose Manchester City and their frailties defensively. But because they don't have that, even if Manchester City were to lose the ball in a bad area, I don't know that Fluminense has enough unless you help them. And that's, I think, what Inter did today. They provided help to Fluminense. That first goal, Mateo Darmian, he goes to the player that is beyond the near post and leaves the player who's about to tap it in completely wide open. Doesn't make a play on the ball. Jan Sommer doesn't make a play on the ball. Denzel Dumfries doesn't make a play on the ball. If you give them help, they're good enough to take advantage of those mistakes. I don't think that Manchester City, again, assuming that they go through against Al Hilal, that they will provide Fluminense with the help they need.
Well, of course, we're looking back at the Manchester City game on the next edition of ESPN FC. Be sure to join us as we reach the quarter-final stages of the Club World Cup.